What's good, original Fani? I just hopped off the porch with Dirty Glove Bastard.
I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling robotic. I put them dips in control, she bet it. I know some nigga that tried it.
All right, today we got Fani jumping off the porch with us today.
What's up?
How you feeling, gang?
I'm great, man. Yourself?
I'm chilling, man. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you, thank you.
Nah, thank you. So tell us, how would you describe life in Chicago versus life here in Atlanta?
You know, I spent my younger days in Chicago, so I mean, there's really no comparison for me. I think Chicago is like, it's a bit more of an eclectic place. But I mean, you know, Atlanta's a lot of fun. Atlanta's a lot of people working together. So I mean, my life in Chicago was just like, it's like very like introspective, just coming up with my family, my mom, my grandpa on the north side. Just like, I don't know, just learning. A lot of my influences come from Chicago, so I will say that. But life in Chicago for me, I don't know, it's just jovial and fun and just like whatever a kid would be doing, to be honest, you know? Probably created my mindset a bit though.
Straight up. So how would you describe your childhood coming up there in Chicago?
Like I said, my childhood, well, I spent a lot of time traveling around with my mom, my grandpa. He worked at like a child care services agency. So, I don't know, just like a lot of learning and stuff. And like I said, Chicago's like a very eclectic place from what I know, you know, so it's I don't know about like, I mean, I know about like not turning my hat a certain way coming up in Chicago, but you know, it was all love.
Straight up. So when did you move to Atlanta?
So I came to Atlanta for high school. I got here '04, went to like Tri-Cities High School. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Art Magnet program. I don't know if you guys know, Outkast went to that school as well, so it really helped me hone in on like, you know, just knowing myself. I got here with dreads. At the time, everyone didn't have dreads. It's like everyone had braids. It was kind of like Cash Money era, kind of still, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, I was just like a little nerd on the south side of Atlanta, Georgia. But I mean, I've been myself. High school, south side taught me like, you know, just being yourself was the way to be. I used to draw on like all my assignments and stuff like that. So like, I was in like art class in the Art Magnet program, but I kind of like pushed it to like every class I was in. Teachers, everyone knew like, damn, you drawing on your homework and stuff like that, and you know, so a bit outspoken, but just very still nerdy, anime, like that's skateboarding a little bit. That's what my like, when I first got here, was about.
Straight up. Would you say you always been a fan of fashion?
I've always been a fan of creating. As a youth, we didn't have it like that, so I don't know, I feel like I first got into like creating clothes like on SmackDown, you know? I don't know if y'all know, like creating players on SmackDown, you could just get wild and have your own, you know what I mean? So that's how it started, I think, and like from there, I think like graffiti and Echo was like two brands I fell in love with in high school that kind of showed me like a guy taking graffiti art and putting it on clothes, because it's like, it started with the Rhino, but it's like a lot more to it than that, you know? So Echo, even LRG, those brands, I kind of really got into those in high school, and that's kind of like, first I was into graffiti as like a artist or as an art student, but then I started seeing like the way it was used on clothes and stuff like that. So that's what initially got me into it, probably just seeing the transition from like graffiti to clothes, then like that really was like streetwear, you know? So that's kind of how I found out about it.
Straight up. So what year did you say you started Original Fani on your own?
So Original Fani started in probably around 2007. I started Original Fani just as like a friend of mine. He had a Twitter handle. Twitter had just started. It was my first time getting on Twitter, and my friend had a handle. It was like BB Siege. Shout out Siege, and I was like, oh, that's tight. Like, so I started wearing this brand called Original Fake around the same time, and Cause, this pop artist, he rocks. That was like his brand. So I was like, I'm Original Fani, like, cause that's the stuff I like to wear, and I like took the name, and it just was like a Twitter handle. So that's how the brand started. And then because Siege, he was like hosting parties, and at the time in Atlanta, I mean, still like, when party promo was really big, people was really going hard to get like the biggest artist they could at a party. So, you know, I found myself with Siege because he was hosting backstage with Travis Porter, Big Sean, Nicki Minaj. My friend Reese at the time, he introduced me to Cannon, so we was running around with them. So I was like, I met Wiz. So I was like, man, I just start a blog to like kind of cover everything I'm doing, and then find a way I can like support my friends locally or doing music, and then I could get like my art off. I started doing like graphic design and cover art, first for like Retro Sushi, and then kind of like started doing them for all different types of artists in Atlanta. So that's how the brand started, is just like my graphic design business brand, and like Twitter/blog.
So what would you say was your initial investment for Original Fani?
My initial investment was I just started making T-shirts. Now, like I really like Japanese streetwear, Bape, and stuff like that. So like, I was looking for like a heavy T-shirt. So my initial investment was like a Hanes Beefy tee. We had a tagline for promotional use only. So the tee was like, I made it and I wasn't selling it. I was just giving it to people. Like, if you got graphics from me, you know, I gave you a shirt. Metro called me over one day. I made Sneakin' and Geekin' artwork, and I made like the Blankwitch artwork. And then after I made the artwork, I was like, yo, here's this T-shirt, like, so you can say like, oh yeah, I rock with Original Fani. And the shirt too was a flip, so it was like a flip of the Original Fake logo. Y'all look that up, y'all do y'all research and stuff, but yeah, I flipped it, just changed 2 letters, and then yeah, I just started seeding it, like just giving it to my friends and like family. People was like, yo, I'll support, I'll buy a shirt. So I sold like shirts to people who wanted to support, but yeah, that was like my initial investment right there, just making T-shirts and just giving them out. No return really on that, changing colors, and just been like, oh yeah, you're like part of this like cult I'm starting to start. So here's you get a shirt, you get a shirt. And then that would just be it, like that.
That's tight though.
Yeah.
So with the support of people like Metro Boomin, Siege from Two9, you know, and others, would you say your friendship was beneficial to your brand?
My friendship with these guys?
Your friendship, yeah, with a lot of these
definitely.
people. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like friends and family, like, you know, a lot of brands you see too, like they might drop something and then they drop something, friends and family. So like, that's my whole thing. Initially too, just working with Two9, not just Siege, Jace, Retro Sushi, Key, Fat Kid's brother, Gunner, Osh, Curtis Williams, DTP, like all this whole family we built is like, they could all represent Original Fani. And I wasn't really worried about people outside of that, you know, like met Metro through Be Right at Morehouse and stuff like that, and working on a brand called Cremo back then as well. And they had things on lock as well. They showed me a lot of things earlier in the day. So it was just like, yeah, I just always was seeding, and I still do that. Like, if you close to me, like, you gonna have it. Like, that's just part of what we doing, you know what I mean? And like building a movement, and just like, it's not about who's hot now, it's just about like my family and group of people I've continued to build with, you know?
Straight up, that's real. So how long would you say after starting from being a graphic designer to just being a fan of creativity, would you say it took for people to notice what was really going on with the brand?
It took a while, man, because I think, like, first off, like, graphic design is, like, really service-based. So it was a while, even, like, the whole Two9 story is like a come-up story for a long time. So we were just working and building our own thing. And even then, it was like, people knew, but it was so niche. It was like people weren't running to me to get anything. So I had transitioned from the t-shirt to like the bandana when we went to South by Southwest one year. I think it was like 2014 maybe. Just because, again, under this same idea that like I make stuff and I just give it to my friends, I was looking for something I could make that would be like easier to spread around, you know, something I could fit in my pocket, something I could make a lot of and was cost effective. So that's when I came with the Fondana in like 2014, and I just started, again, seeding that to everyone, but it was hitting a little harder, like, cause I think like tees and stuff is like, I mean, everybody, I probably got 1,000 t-shirts, so it's like, who knows like which shirt or if you're gonna return to the shirt. Like, not until like V-Loan, people wear that shirt like 5 days out the week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, you gonna switch your shirt, you know? But your accessory, your hat, you might have your favorite hat that you just, it's always in your rotation. So when I came with the bandana, I started seeding it to people, and once again, they was like, yo, I'll buy this. Like, what you want, $25, 2 for like 2, 3 for, you know, different prices. So it was crazy because I just was running around with them in my pocket for a little moment. Like after leaving South by, which is, you know, big festival, I bumped into a bunch of people there. Mark Noir, Cisse, that's Places and Faces. Met a lot of people back then. Metro had a big year then too. Ray Shrim had a big year then too. Two9 was like, we had a big year then too. So like, I was just moving it around, and then I started bouncing to different festivals, Governor's Ball, Coachella, Rolling Loud, and I just had the bandanas on me like, oh, let me see if we can get here. Then from there, I like grabbed the camera like, oh, I'll take the photos. And that's when it just kind of really started picking up. Metro was wearing it like every day. Michi then, She Loves Michi, he was like one of the faces early on. And Uzi too, like people I just come across in Atlanta, you know, Sunny Digital, like just rocking it consistently. So then I was like, okay, like after getting a couple different products, placements, I hadn't even dropped the site yet until like that Rolling Loud. I went to Rolling Loud, the second one, and a lot of people had it, like Yachty performed with it, and 21 Savage performed with it. Just off of like, I had just bumped into them backstage type shit, like, yo, you'll rock with this. And it was like, oh yeah, for sure, bro, like threw it on. And then after that, I was like, oh, I gotta go crazy, like, this is finna hit, you know? So I started coming up with my plans to like, you know, create some exclusivity within the bandana and like make sure it was ever changing, but just like slightly, you know? And then using that to like go into other different forms of accessories and things that I wanna do.
That's real. So outside of your friends who are also creatives, how long would you say it took strangers to hop on the ship of like, okay, this is the shit, this is what we need?
How long would I say? I mean, I don't know. I've gotten like a genuine support from a lot of people. Like it seems like the entire time I've been doing it, it's just like things grow, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say like, because I don't think I'm as far as I want to go at all, you know, but like it's just been a consistent growth. I mean, yeah, 2017 was big though. Like it seemed like everybody was just like, oh, okay, this can be next, you know, but I've just been taking my time. I feel like, you know, my name is in my brand and everything, so I wanted to have as much longevity as it possibly can. You know, just like I was talking about family, that's what I want to do with it, you know, like give it to my family and stuff like that.
Straight up. What would you say is one of the biggest mistakes you made starting out?
One of the biggest mistakes I made starting out with my brand is just like, you know, lack of understanding of business, I can say. Like, I'm constantly learning about business. I'm like super creative. And you know, they say like we're one side or the other side, but it's a lot of things that, you know, one could teach themselves about business just to balance things out, you know. But every mistake I've made has been a good one, you know, it's because, you know, you learn from them. So I plan on making more mistakes, because I guess that's kind of like the fun part is you do something wrong and you say, okay, I can do it this way the next time. So yeah, I mean, it's all trial and error with this, like with fashion and like creativity. But yeah, I would just say I could like, even now I'm like diving more into business, you know, trying to develop staff and like, you know, a company, you know. So, but some people start out like that with that, you know, in their mind, you know. Again, I think that's like the beautiful part of it, and the like, it's the figuring out, you know. That's what makes it cool. But yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, I didn't go to school for this. I didn't go to business school, and those things really help. I would suggest that anyone who wants to do any sort of business, like, does the due diligence to learn about it, you know?
How does it make you feel to know that your brand is one of the influential things here in Atlanta for creatives? Like, if you ain't got that Fani on, you know what I'm saying, people might look at you crazy, or you know what I'm saying, if you do got it on, people might be like, what you know, or who do you know, you know what I mean?
I mean, for a long time, it's been a great feeling, because I looked at Atlanta as like the epicenter of like the culture. Like, there's so much culture that comes out of Atlanta, and I just always saw a void for streetwear here, and just like, you know, a brand that people can think of when they think of Atlanta, you know? Because again, I'm originally not from here, but then I still notice this void and things that are needed here that make the city a better place, you know what I mean? So even through my brand, sometimes I try to do like a bit of storytelling and collaborations with like brands that came before me in Atlanta. Like right now I'm rocking this Haitian bandana. I'm Haitian, like heritage is big to me. I want to start pushing that more, you know, just so people don't identify as just like black, but it's like Haitian, African American, like ethnicity. I think that's really important and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, my brand's like a vehicle here, but I think it's dope. I think it's dope for people to think of it that way, because for so long, like, man, people, and I talk to people around the world and all over America, New York, LA, it's like people don't even think of Atlanta when they think of fashion. And I mean, I get I understand the reasons behind that. But again, even this moment right here is like, this is to kind of like shake that idea up. It's like a press thing, you know what I mean? Like, the more coverage we get on people, it's like, you know, because we got Yachty, Cardi, Slime, like, that's like, who gon', you know?
Yeah.
Who gon' argue about like Cardi fashion, or if he's selling shit out or some stuff like that. Like, we got some of the flyest people, Fago, like, it just keeps coming, you know what I mean? And it's been that way, you know? So like, yeah, that's important, you know. Or like how they be like, the South got something to say, like in fashion too, like, for sure. You know, wherever you go and tell your story too. I got some friends that are from Atlanta that moved to New York, and they got a huge brand. Like, shout out to Beastroy. It's just like, it's just a work in progress.
Straight up. So with you being one of the most influential people here in Atlanta, how did it make you feel when people reacted to you being a fan, quote unquote, of Lil Uzi?
Oh, yo, it's funny because we took that picture and like, I had no clue, like, I don't know, it didn't hit me how explosive like he is, or like, you know, that picture would be or whatever, because I did not expect it to do that. Now I did, like, I was thinking like when we took the picture and stuff, like, you know, he liked to like do little anime stuff like that and like look like, you know, do small little poses and stuff like that. So I was like, oh yeah, we should like, that's why I put my arm around him the way I did. But like Lil Uzi, I mean, we had a whole conversation, and I think it was really dope because what I saw on that day is a lot of people like saying my name, you know what I mean, and letting people know what it really is. Like, I ain't feel no type of way about that. I am a fan of Lil Uzi Vert. I think he's super, super dope. And yeah, I mean, we ain't like cool like that or anything, but I think there's a mutual respect there. Definitely, like I said from the beginning too, like, he was one of the first artists like wearing my clothes or really the bandana a lot. And his real fans or super fans, they know that history, you know. But I didn't have no problem with that. Like, press is press. I was fly.
Straight up. So how long did it take you to open your storefront closet?
Closet, it's funny, I mean, we just opened on Thursday with hours. I've been there for like 3 years, and it's been a work in progress as well. I started with City of Ink. They had the space. Shout out Tuki Carter, like legendary tattoo artist, Maya Bailey as well. They had the space, and I just came and first I started running my operations out of there, and then as things grew and capital grew, I was like, oh, I can implement a lot more stuff in here. So, yeah, like, how long did it take? I don't know. Like, you could say 2-3 years, but then I'm not done. Like, I'm far from done. It's like at like 75%. I'm gonna tell the camera 75% because I really want it to be at 100, and it's not. It's a couple more changes that I need to make in Closet, but yeah, that place is special to me. It's another, like, you know, it's funny, people like Fani store, but for me it's like Atlanta store. Like, you know, we have like a bunch of different local artists in there. All the photography in there is from local photographers. All the brands in there are local or friends of mine. So it's like, you know, the point of that is to be another outlet for the city, because I know a lot of kids here don't quite understand what it takes to get into, like, you know, maybe like a major boutique, you know, and you got to have like place you could start at, and I did. Like, I didn't per se have a space like that, but I built it. It works for me, and then it can work for other people too. It's just like, you know, not as many rules on it. Which again, I think boutique culture kind of started that way too. It's like everything didn't have to be so corporate, when it was just like things were smaller. Keep in mind, fashion is probably, with Instagram, like industry-wise, is probably the big, like, everybody want to be fly, you know what I mean, now? So everybody want to be fly, everybody want to start a clothing line, you know, but where do they go with that? They go to Closet if they come in correct. I wanted to, like, you know, tighten it a little bit and make sure, like, we have some quality stuff in there, but, you know, it's kind of like open arms, you know. Yeah, because, you know, it's a place to learn. I got a lot of books in there too, things that inspire me. So, you know, that's another thing too, is like, I'm sort of like a vessel in that way as well, because it's like, I didn't come up with like a lot of the formulas I apply to my brand. I just studied like my favorites, Supremes, Bapes, Neighborhood, you know, and a list of other brands. Comme des Garçons is one of my favorites. I'm rocking Comme right now, so it's like, yeah, that's it. Like, this is space for Atlanta, but it could be like our headquarters as well.
That's real.
Yeah.
What's some advice you would give to an up-and-coming designer right now?
Up and coming designers, I mean, first and foremost, you gotta travel. Like, you gotta spread out. Again, shout out to Two9, and I've done a lot less traveling since like I started to focus on my brand, and that's good and bad at times. But you know, you gotta move around. There's a lot of things we don't have here, and there's a lot of knowledge we don't have here. There's a lot of knowledge that's just not common here. It's here, but it's not common knowledge here. So that's important, that you spread around and go to other places and look to other things to get inspired, because it's like the culture of Atlanta inspires my brand, and the void that's here was like the challenge I took on. But a lot of my inspirations come from everywhere else, you know what I mean? Like going back and talking about Chicago, well, as soon as I got here in high school, just coming from Chicago, I was still like, when Kanye came out, I was like a super fan. When Lupe Fiasco came out, I was an even bigger fan of him, and all the things he was talking about. And also too, like asking me what really got me into fashion, that rapper right there, like all the brands he was talking about in his raps, Pharrell. I mean, it's the same for like a lot of people who were like in high school, 2006, 2007, going to college. It was like, that was an interesting time. Skateboarding kind of like hitting the black community, and like us seeing like, oh, I mean, it had been dope black skaters, but that's when it was like, became a little bit more mainstream, and ice cream, and like it's like this whole subculture, which now like is one of the biggest, you know what I mean? It's like every kid knows Pharrell and all his history, and Star Trek and Nego, and all these like Instagram pages like are here to teach you even more about them, you know? But yeah, that's another thing. It's like just doing your research. Like I was saying, like I ain't come up with the formula. I study a lot of my favorites, and then like, you know, apply that to what I'm doing.
Straight up. Any last words and shout outs?
I mean, stay tuned. Shout out Closet. Shout out Dirty Glove Bastard. Shout out Two9. Shout out Money Sean, man. And shout out to God. My people, some people I'm working with right now. Shout out Cody Shane. Yeah, shout out my family, you know. Yeah, y'all push up. We at the store. Like, we got hours now. We there from, we open Thursday to Monday. This fall is gonna be good. I got a lot of like cool fall stuff coming out, and then working on some like major collabs too. So 2022 is gonna be sick. Like, I already know that. And that's the whole thing about it. It just keeps going. Like, I don't have a plan yet. You know, if y'all know Karl Lagerfeld or something, like, it's a funny conversation I had with my mom one time. She's like, you know, you can think about retiring. And I'm like, what? And like, really? Retire? Like, right. I'ma always get fly, you know? Yeah. Always give my ideas to the world. I don't gotta stop doing that ever. Yeah. So.
Straight up.
Yeah, the marathon, you know?
The OG, original Fani. We appreciate you having me today, gang.
Appreciate it.
Gang.
I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling robotic. I put that bitch on control, she bad it. I know some nigga that tried her. I smoke some nut, they